We are going to talk about a movie.
This is gonna be a disaster.
It was one of the best movies of the year.
It's gonna go so well. Probably one of the last movies I would ever want to see in a theater. What is going on, everybody? Taylor here, and today I'm going to be talking about Godzilla, King of the Monsters. I have been anticipating this movie ever since I saw the first trailer drop at San Diego Comic-Con. I was in Hall H when it dropped, and it immediately got me excited for this movie because I'm not someone who has ever really been invested in the Godzilla or King Kong movies. They've just never really been a huge part of my life. But the first trailer that got dropped had me instantly, I'm ready to go. Let's do this. I'm super excited. And I got to see this movie a couple of nights ago. And there are some things that I really enjoyed about it, and there are some things that kind of didn't quite work for me. But before I go into this, I do want to say that I am going to be discussing possible spoilery things because I do want to get all my thoughts out about this movie. So if you haven't seen it yet and you don't really want to verge into possible spoiler territory, go see the movie and then come back and we can talk about it. But that is your warning because I'm not quite sure where this is going to go. I'm just kind of going here and we're going to see what happens. But I want to start by saying I really thought that the scale of this world was handled very well in this movie, as well as the weight. And what I mean by that is you could really feel the weight of what was happening in terms of, and the scale in terms of how big these monsters were and the actual effects that it was having and how it felt to have these things happening to the people and to the world. It was really immersive in that way where you could tell that these monsters were gigantic and that things were just being decimated and destroyed and just what the damage and how devastating it was to this world. And that's something that stressed me out more than I was actually expecting it to, but it was fantastic. It was handled so well, and that's something that was consistent throughout the movie that really helped keep me invested in this world and really feel like it was lived in, which is really important, I think, especially for a movie like this that has such mass destruction and devastation. I really liked the look of the monsters a lot. I loved how they interacted and how the fight scenes worked, and like I said, the aesthetic. It was absolutely beautiful the way that the monsters looked. They were so stunning. The use of light and the use of color and the use of texture was just brilliant, and I think it looked so great. It had such a haunting effect with a lot of them, and it's something that really caught my eye in the trailers and in the marketing that made me really excited to see this movie in the first place, because as someone who really loves to pay attention to how color and light and those kind of elements are used in movies, I really appreciated this one. I did also want to mention the cast. I really enjoyed the very interesting, diverse cast that we had in this movie, because you do kind of realize it in the trailers, but then when you actually watch the movie, you really realize just how many people are in this movie. I thought Millie Bobby Brown was exceptional. I think that she's really proving that she's very good at what she does, and I really appreciated her work in this movie. I felt like she separated herself from Eleven, and really made you believe that this character was this little girl in this situation that you don't really associate with being the girl from Stranger Things, which is really good. I am interested to see where her career goes after this, if she kind of continues in this science fiction-y, otherworldly, huge scale, world-ending kind of trajectory that she's been on. I really enjoyed Kyle Chandler and Vera Farmiga. I don't know, I had an interesting time with their relationship in this film, because I thought Vera was great in her role, and her character motivations were a little iffy, but that's alright. Ken Watanabe, I really appreciated. I think he always does a great job, especially with his connection to Godzilla. It was A+. Sally Hawkins I enjoyed for the little bit of her that we actually got. I was a little bit caught off guard and not sure how I felt about her very abrupt exit from the movie. That wasn't quite... I don't know if it was quite impactful in any particular way, but fair enough. Charles Dance was extraordinary, as always. I feel like he can pretty much do no wrong ever at this point. Thomas Middleditch was pretty good. Aisha Hines was great. I thought she was awesome. O'Shea Jackson Jr., I always love seeing him in movies. I thought he did a great job. I was really excited to see Anthony Ramos pop up in this movie. I am excited to see that he's been popping up in a lot of things since his departure from Hamilton. So I really appreciated the cast. I thought overall everyone was pretty good. I thought the script was a bit lacking in a lot of ways. It wasn't fantastic. It was kind of clunky and didn't particularly flow very well, in my opinion. The way that the story was strung together was a little bit lacking for me. It was a little disappointing in terms of emotional connection, because I wanted to feel really emotionally invested in these characters, and maybe that's the wrong approach going into a Godzilla movie. Maybe that's not really what I should be looking for, because the Godzilla parts and the other monsters I really enjoyed and I thought were handled really beautifully, but the human aspects of the movie is kind of more what I had issues with. I didn't really feel the stakes as much as I wanted to for these characters, and their motivations in a lot of ways just didn't quite click for me the way I wanted them to. But in a lot of the human elements of the story, it just didn't feel like it was organically moving along. It kind of felt like, well, we've told this point of the story, so now we have to jump to this part of the story, and then it just didn't have a flow. But maybe if I watch it again, I'll have a little bit of a different opinion with that. Maybe it was just the first time taking it in that I didn't quite click with it. But I did enjoy the movie. It wasn't as great as I was hoping that it was going to be. There were, like I said, a lot of things I enjoyed, a lot of things that didn't really work for me. But I am interested to see Kong vs. Godzilla, because I am a huge, huge fan of Kong Skull Island. I know that not a ton of people appreciate that movie as much as I feel like they should, because that movie, I think, handles both the monster element and the story element very, very well. And visually, I just appreciate Kong Skull Island a little bit more, because you can actually see a lot of what's happening. A lot of it happens in daylight, and I know that nighttime battles and stuff are really cool, especially when you have the monsters that we had in this movie, where they glow and they light up and they shoot radioactive kind of fire, and you know, they can conduct lightning and things like that. And I get why a night backdrop for that makes a lot of sense, but I do have a lot of hope going into Kong vs. Godzilla. I am still very, very excited for that movie, even though this movie didn't quite land the exact way that I was hoping that it would for me. But what do you guys think of the movie? What were your thoughts? If you haven't seen it yet and you did end up watching this video, are you planning on going to see it? What are you hoping to get out of the movie? As always, all my links are down in the description if you want to find me on social media or check out my Patreon campaign. It's all down there. Thank you guys so, so much for all of your continued support. It seriously means the world to me, and I will see you all next time.